had piled a train full of all the gauze, disinfectants, and surgeons in Boston and sent it north. It was January by then, with snowdrifts head-high outside. The gymnasium had been turned into a hospital ward, sensibly laid out, ruthlessly organized, competently staffed. Laura was doing rounds, bent over a bed.
"That harpy,"
agreed his fellow.
"But she's forgotten more about dressings than you'll ever know. She was in the nursing service, you know. Caught a shell over in France somewhere."
It was Belgium, actually.
"Caught a shell? A nurse? Really? What did she do? Dress as a man and creep up the line?"
The first doctor didn't take the bait.
"No. I heard they shelled the forward hospitals."
A startled pause. Then,
"Barbaric,"
said the second doctor weakly. Laura kept on taking temperatures. Both doctors stopped talking, perhaps contemplating trying to practice medicine under fire.
"Lord,"
the second doctor said finally.
"Think all the girls who went to war will come back like that? Cut up? Incorrigible?"
A laugh and a shudder.
"Christ, I hope not."
Laura straightened up, smiling, and they both blanched. "Doctor," she said, and felt the subterranean amusement in her watching patients. She was one of them, after all, born by the harbor, before the world caught fire. The doctors stammered something. She turned away again. Virago indeed. A fanged wind was tearing white foam off the bay, and her next patient was a blistered little boy. The child wept as she peeled off his dressings. "Hush," said Laura. "It'll only hurt for a moment, and if you're crying, how can I tell you about the purple horse?" The little boy scowled at her through his tears.
"Horses aren't purple."
There was one. Laura snipped away stained gauze. "I saw it with my own eyes. In France. Naturally, the horse didn't start out purple. It was white. A beautiful white horse that belonged to a doctor. But the doctor was afraid that someone would see his white horse on a dark night and shoot him. Turn that way. He wanted a horse that would be hard to see at night. So he went to a witch." A lurch.
"There aren't witches in France."
"Of course there are. Be still. Don't you remember your fairy tales?" Freddie loved them.
"Well, the witches haven't stayed in France,"
the child informed her in a voice that quivered.
"With a war on."
"Maybe witches like the war. They can do what they like with everyone busy fighting. Now, do you want to hear about the purple horse or not? Turn back."
"Yes,"
said the little boy. He was looking up at her now, wide-eyed. "All right. Well, the witch gave the doctor a magic spell to make the horse dark. But when the doctor tried it, poof! Purple as a hyacinth." The child was finally distracted.
"Was it a magic horse?"
he demanded.
"After it turned purple?"
Laura was tying off the bandages. The child's tears had dried. Yes, of course. It could gallop from Paris to Peking in an hour. The doctor went straight to Berlin and pulled the Kaiser's nose. The child smiled at last.
"I'd like a magic horse. I'd gallop away and find Elsie."
Elsie was his sister. They'd been walking to school together when the ship blew up. Laura didn't reply, but smoothed the matted, tow-colored hair and got up. Her brother's real name was Wilfred, but hardly anyone remembered. He'd been Freddie from infancy. He was serving overseas. He still hadn't written back.
"Purple horse?"
inquired the doctor in charge, passing. Unlike his civilian colleagues, he'd been behind the lines of the Somme in 16. He and Laura understood each other. They walked off together down